Dr. Mitra, a lot of the quotes were very hard-hitting from the RBI governor, and I think they point to serious concerns, not just presently, but going ahead. So let me ask you the first point mentioned by Shaktikanta Das. He says that the economic effects of the war in Ukraine are spreading like seismic waves, and that geopolitical tensions are ratcheting up inflation to the highest level. What is in store for us, Dr. Mitra?
I think the first thing, Mr. Shom, is what is the state of the economy that the RBI governor is addressing? The consumer price index has 6% is the red line.
Yeah.
Now he says, and correctly so, we have not only crossed that red line, consumer price index is at 7%.
Yes.
In March.
Yes.
Expected to be higher in April. Most important for common people listening to your program is food index inflation. Can you believe it has climbed up to 7.68%?
Yep.
Growing by 1.83% in 1 month.
Yep.
So petrol, diesel, medicine, even Nimbu, lime or lemon, is 10 rupees a piece for the common people. Now, same way, he also finds that wholesale price index has hit the roof. 14.55% wholesale price index, and food 8.71%. What you're talking about is unbelievable. 3 months ago, the unemployment, he obviously is alluding to that because of the managing the economy. 34 million people are unemployed in India today. 34 million people. That means 3.4 crores. And most important, lakhs of people are dropping out of the labor force, women in particular, because they're hopeless. So, and capital outflow, high trade deficit, weak rupee. So you're seeing a picture which is concerning the Reserve Bank governor on the aggregate state of the economy that we have arrived at under this government. There may be external reasons, but there are many internal reasons.
We'll talk about both.
Yes.
Now, the fact is we have sustained high inflation, which is why all these measures are taking place. Sustained high inflation, according to Shaktikanta Das, and this is borne out by the statistics, inevitably hurts savings, investment, competitiveness, and output growth. On the other hand, and Dr. Mitra, this is also an important point, the fact that he's had to raise interest rates means that millions will continue to be affected in a different way. EMIs, for example, will go up.
Yes.
The middle class will be hurt, as just one example over there. So it's, in a sense, lose-lose. But he may not have had much of a choice.
Yeah. Well, you see, this is a catch-22 to which the current government has brought the economy to, partly external, but primarily going on for a long time. Home loan, as you said, EMI, is bound to be affected. Auto EMI, you want to buy a motorcycle, a scooter, a car, that will be affected. Most interestingly, small industry will now have to pay higher interest. Now, the other interesting point is because of the higher interest, many projects, investment projects that are about to happen, now will be put on the shelf because it's not viable anymore in terms of internal rate of return calculations. What that means is that unemployment will further grow up. And let us not forget, this is stagflation. Inflation and unemployment unheard of in modern economy. And there are no ready solutions. So what can the governor do? He has only two tools in his hand. One is his repo rate, which he has increased. The other is cash reserve ratio of banks. That means banks pull in liquidity from the market. Now, is food inflation affected by this rise in interest rate? No. It's hardly connected to because much of it is cash economy, informal. Others are affected, home loans, automobile,
not food
business.
Inflation.
Not so much.
But sir, just a point there. Dr. Mitra, the jump in fertilizer prices per the RBI governor has a direct impact on food prices in India. He said this today.
Yes, but the point is simple, that food is a very decentralized sector in India with small farmers, and farmers coming to aggregators into wholesale markets coming. So what is interesting is in developed countries, food markets are completely modern market driven with no cash peelings. In India, that's not the case. Now, therefore, I'm worried that food inflation will not be affected. However, what will be affected, undoubtedly, is the immediate investment postponement resulting in greater unemployment. So to tackle, to spite your face, you're cutting your nose.
Right. So yeah, no, I understand what you're saying about, one leading on to the other. But, and just so that we are clear on this, there are lots of critical points mentioned by Shaktikanta Das, but he's also said, looking at the international arena, amidst these challenges, and he's talking about the global economic issue, a global economic environment, the Indian economy has shown resilience. The Indian economy has managed to weather the shock so far, and it is therefore necessary to be sensitive to new realities. He's talking about the new external challenges. Is this not fair that we have been relatively resilient? Do you agree when the Prime Minister says that coming out of COVID, we are one of the fastest growing economies?
Yes, we have been resilient to the extent that we unfortunately have not done two critical things. One is the supply chain that is there in the country completely cracked. We have not been able to repair it. Second is small and medium enterprises have not picked up the way that it should have, because it's still apprehensive because of the supply chain inadequate. They don't get the inputs to be able to supply to big entities. And the third interesting thing is the informal sector. 93% of employment in this country is from the unorganized informal sector. Have they picked up? Maybe 10%, maybe 20%, the most innovative.
Right.
But 90%, 80% have not. Is this interest rate rising? Will that have anything to do with the informal sector? No. So what worries me is, of course, the governor has only two tools in his hand: raise inflation, raise interest rate, and also raise what is called cash reserve ratio, which he has done to suck away liquidity.
Yeah.
But the government, which does fiscal policy, is sitting watching. Have you heard a speech by the Honorable Prime Minister on the state of the economy that I'm presenting to you from government data? No. So my problem is that the macroeconomics of the country is today in critical position and shocked on top of that by external factors, as you correctly said. But the government is silent. Have you heard the finance minister addressing the issues that I'm addressing to you, stagflation? I would urge them, come and tell us, what is your policy? What are you going to do?
But Dr. Mitra, again, it is. I completely understand the points that you're saying, and I understand what you're trying to say when you refer to internal factors being as important, if not as more important than the external factors which I've referred to. But when you look at some internal factors and you look at inflation, for example, fuel inflation, there is, there's this chicken and egg debate which keeps going round. What came first over and over again? The centre says states need to cut down on taxes, rationalize taxes, fuel inflation will go down, fuel costs will go down. On the other hand, it's equally true that crude is at $100 a barrel plus. There is an argument by the centre, sir, that the states need to do more. I don't know about Bengal necessarily, but other states.
I think it's a very important point. Let me just give you the real data being hidden today. The diesel taxes on diesel, compared to what the state is doing, centre is taxing 54% more than the states. In petrol, it is 25% more. All they have to do is equalize with the state. Immediately your diesel and petrol prices will fall. So that is federalism. You're doing it for GST, where we share 50%, centre shares 50%. Cut down your 54% more in diesel as compared to West Bengal, Calcutta's rates I'm giving you. Cut down on petrol by 25%, higher taxes you're charging. And do you know how much taxes they've collected? It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I mean, only last year, 2020-21, central government collected 3.74 lakh crores. And the total amount in the Modi period, the government period, if you look at the Prime Minister Modi's period, humongous collection from this. All you do is, I'm giving you a solution. Equalize.
Right.
State and centre's taxes, immediately petrol prices will fall, diesel prices will fall, irrespective of the external factor.
Okay.
Then you have the similar to GST. Why aren't you doing that?
Dr. Mitra, I'm running short on time on this, but I wanted to ask you one more question on the LIC IPO without for a moment, suggesting that the buzz that exists now is not well deserved. A lot of people have put in their hard-earned money. They want to see the LIC IPO succeed. I'm sure all of us do. But initially, the LIC IPO was meant to be 10% of holding. It was reduced to 5%. It came down to 3.5%. Therefore, from about 60,000 crores or 60,000 crores plus, it's come down to 22,000 crores, which the government would like to hopefully gain or collect. Call it what you may. Should we not be looking at this as well, that it's not realized its true potential?
Well, you see, first of all, I'd like to object to the question of LIC being disinvested in a volatile market condition, volatile global condition. I think it would be useful for your listeners to know, it has 30 crore policy holders, fifth largest in the world. It has 81% of the market share in terms of policies issued. 24 lakh crores investment in central, state and development expenditure. And 31 lakh crores of assets, second only to SBI. My question to you first is, why are you selling family silver first of all, in principle, if in practice you're doing it at a time when there's volatility in the market, and you've lowered the price from 1,000 rupees a share to about 920 to 945, somewhere in that range. Why? You ask them, why did you lower your pie? Undervalued? Oh, it will sell very quickly. Excuse me, you're selling family silver, you're selling the golden goose that lies
at a devalued
as many
rate.
Economists have said. So my objection to this is, one, in principle. Number two is in practice. In a volatile environment, lowering your valuation, which means you're selling your family silver cheap. Not only are you selling it, and the golden goose that lays the golden eggs. Is this the right thing to do? Why are you doing it? Only for one reason, Mr. Sean. To meet their disinvestment target set in the budget.
Which has been, which Dr. Mitra has not been realized since 2007, I think.
Exactly.
Maybe just once.
Exactly. You're absolutely
but that's true of all governments. It's something which every government says that they'll meet targets and they come nowhere close to it. But look, I'm sorry, I just need to move on, and I thank you as usual for explaining this to us in such simple terms. Thank you very much, sir.